Hey guys, Andy here for Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you the next Legion in our Horse Heresy playlist. Today we're going to be knocking out the Ultramarines. Crisp blue, bright gold, sharp lines. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's get started with the hotly requested Ultramarines. So I'm going to start off with a contrast Ultramarines blue over my power armor. I sprayed the models black and then gave them a zenithal coat of Grey Seer, which is, I find, the perfect base coat to be working with contrast. So like I said, Ultramarines blue contrast all over the armor panels, controlling it as much as you can, making sure it doesn't pull too heavily in any of the little nooks and crannies. With paint schemes, when you're working with contrast, you got to kind of think forward to later on in the paint scheme and think if you're going to be layering up this armor afterwards or whether you're going to leave it as a flat contrast. If you're going to leave it as a flat contrast, you're going to have to pay more attention to pooling and stuff like that. If you know later on you're going to be washing and layering it, then you don't need to worry about it so much. So I know I'm going to be washing and layering this, so there's going to be a few splodgy parts and a few kind of build-ups of contrast and nooks and crannies. That's okay. We will tidy that up all later. But as it stands, I think the blue acted as an absolutely fantastic base coat to be working up that blue power armor. I then moved over to Black Templar contrast, and we use this to base coat the casing of the bolt rifle. Sorry, too much Primaris in my head. The bolt gun focus pattern, to be precise. Next, we move over to Retributor Armor Gold, and as everyone knows, Ultramarines are a big fan of gold trim. So the shoulder pad trim, but not only the shoulder pad trim, when you look at the 30k artwork and some of the miniatures that the people are painting, you notice there's quite a few other bits and pieces on the power armor that are done with a touch of gold. So I found another really nice Mark III Marine painted on Google Images, and I just copied the bits and pieces that was suggested there. So I just powered through things like his little headpiece, parts of the backpack, shoulder pad, that kind of thing. Next, we're going to move over to Lead Belcher. I'm going to use this to base coat all of the remaining kind of parts of the miniatures, all of the silver parts. So the rest of the focus pattern bolter, the vents coming out of the backpack, which on most of the Legionaries were the same color as their power armor, so it would have been blue, but I noticed in that artwork that it was silver. So I followed through with that aesthetic. And then of course there's some piping that comes out of the back of the iron armor backpack, which on every Legionnaire video I've done so far, I have done with silver. It's been a really nice way of breaking up the back of the miniature. Next, we're going to jump over and shade the entire miniature. This will add really nice depth to work up from when we get to the layering stage, but it'll also add as a layer of protection for things like contrast. When I do these all over shades, they basically act like a layer of varnish. The model does get protected from scuffs and chips and rubs later on in the paint job. It's also a really nice halfway point for me in the miniature. So yeah, I quite enjoy getting all of the shade on the miniature. And again, it's like a break for 20 minutes, half an hour while it dries before I get stuck back into painting. Okay guys, while that shade is drying, I just want to take the opportunity to say that if you're enjoying the video, enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to be updated on all the future videos coming out by me, the rest of the Legion playlist, some of the Primarchs, some of the how to play for the Horse Heresy, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell button. If you want to support me and support the channel even further, there's links to things like my Patreon below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get back to the video. Okay, as you can see, I didn't take a break while this shade was drying. I got the miniature all based up and ready to rock and roll so that when I finish layering it up, the miniature itself will be complete. So now we're going to move on to layering up the power armor. Now, for some reason, I done derped and I forgot to show off the paint that I was using to layer the power armor, but I will say now that it is Altok Blue, which is a layer paint from Games Workshop. It's a nice, bright, vibrant blue, and I think it looks really good layering up Ultramarines power armor. So this is what I was talking about earlier on, those big flat panels that we're going to be working on. If there's a little bit of kind of the mottled effect left over from contrast, that's okay because we're going to be layering it up. But the contrast and shade acts as a fantastic base coat, and as you can see in all the nooks and crannies when I leave behind that deep rich shade, the model's going to look really tasty. In a minute, I'm just going to show you a quick side-by-side of the right leg layered versus the left leg unlayered, just to show you how different a miniature can look by spending a little bit of time layering up the miniature. So as you can see, it is quite stark, the difference. You can see I've left those really sharp shades in there. and I think it looks fantastic. I'm going to jump ahead now and show you the entire miniature base coated with the Eltec blue, or layered with the Eltec blue, and I think we're onto something really nice here. So now we're going to move over to the Leadbelcher base paint. We're going to touch back up all of the metallic parts on the Phobos bolt gun that the shade has darkened down. Obviously, we want to leave all of the nooks and crannies shaded. All we're looking to do is hit the higher points of the silver, just add a nice bit of depth to the paint scheme. We are also going to use the Leadbelcher to layer up the gold parts of this model. People have been following along with a lot of my videos since the start will know that this is one of my favorite ways of doing gold. Retributor, a nice shade, and then layering back up with Leadbelcher actually. It gives you this really nice tarnished bronzy kind of color. It definitely still has a gold rich feel to it. But I definitely feel like it kind of matches in with the 40k universe, that kind of grim dark gold, not so much cartoony yellowy gold, if that makes sense to everybody. As you can see, I'm just basically like dot highlighting the edges and then a little bit on some of the flatter areas in the nuts and bolts, but leaving the majority of it that dark rich gold. If you have seen me doing this technique before, have any of you tried it? Or what do you guys think of what I do with my gold? I'd love to know in the comments below what you think of my gold technique. Do you think it looks well? Do you think I should try something else? I'm very curious to find out because I don't think anybody else does gold the way that I do. Right, now we're on to a bit of Corvus Black just to layer up that bolt gun casing again. Make it pop a little bit. Onto Blood Angel's Red Contrast, which if you've paid attention, the Leadbelcher stage of cleaning up, I also filled in the eye lenses with Leadbelcher so that I could go in with a contrast later on and finish off the lenses very quick and effective. I know there's lots of in-depth ways of painting eye lenses, but we're talking about a Legion army, which you could have 100 Marines in that force. If you want to sit there and paint 200 eye lenses with the little half moon colors and the dot of white in the corner, be my guest. I, for one, do not have the time to be doing that. And this is the final result. I'm delighted to have brought you another Legion video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure that you do hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.